In just the last few minutes, the president has sent out some remarkable tweets, and I just have to read them because I almost can't believe them. Now that Russian collusion, after 1 year of intense study, has proven to be a total hoax on the American public, the Democrats and their lapdogs, the fake news mainstream media, are taking out the old Ronald Reagan playbook and screaming mental stability and intelligence.
Actually, he goes on to say, throughout my life, my two greatest assets have been mental stability and being, like, really smart.
And he literally writes, like,
I'm not throwing
really
that in there,
smart.
yes, I want to point out. Like, really smart. Crooked Hillary Clinton also played these cards very hard and, as everyone knows, went down in flames. I went from very successful businessman to top TV star to president of the United States on my first try. I think that would qualify as not smart but genius, and a very stable genius at that.
The president says he's, like, really smart.
Timothy, your reaction?
Well, don't you remember in elementary school and high school that if your parents didn't tell you this, your teachers did, that people who repeat things about themselves are not always to be believed? I find it bizarre that the President of the United States needs to tell us that he's smart. After all, we determine, I say we, I'm talking about presidential historians, those of us who observe presidents, we evaluate presidents by their conduct, by their actions, by their legislative achievements, by the way in which they conduct foreign policy and keep us safe. Let others tell you you're smart. You don't have to tell us that you're smart. This shows, as a number of many people have been noting in the last couple of days, that this book has gotten under the president's skin. What I find remarkable is that a pro shouldn't show that something gets under their skin. The president is very, very emotional at this point, and I don't understand why he thinks it's in his interest to show that.
So talk to us. You've got a quote that you want to read from the book, and I want to get to talk about the book that started this whole thing, The Fire and Fury.
So I've been reading through this book, and the access is what I'd like you to address here. He writes, I sought a level of formal access to the White House, something of a fly-on-the-wall status. The president himself encouraged the idea, but given the many fiefdoms in the Trump White House, that came into open conflict from the first days of the administration. There seemed to be no one person able to make this happen. Equally, there was no one to say, go away. Hence, I became more a constant interloper than an invited guest, something quite close to an actual fly on the wall, having accepted no rules nor having made any promises about what I might or might not write. Is that typically the degree of access that he can just plop down on a sofa and get whatever he wants?
No. And in fact, Bob Woodward created a model for delivering or writing what one would call the first draft of history of administrations. For the Clinton, that's Bill Clinton, and George W. Bush, and finally the Obama administrations, Bob Woodward was given various levels of access. And he was able to talk to presidents, he was able to talk to their closest advisors, and as a result, he produced books which gave us a sense, a tick-tock of the internal workings of those three administrations. Somebody very high up made decisions to let Bob Woodward come in. It looks from, at least initially, from Wolff's reporting and from the way in which the Trump administration is handling the Wolff book, that the Trump team is so unorganized that there didn't have to be a checkoff by the guy at the top for Wolff to be walking around the Oval Office. That's amazing.
Michael Wolff was interviewed by the BBC overnight, and I want to read you something that he said, because I don't think we have the sound ready here. But he said, one of the interesting effects of this book so far is a very clear emperor has no clothes effect. The story that I've told seems to present this presidency in such a way that says he can't do his job. The emperor has no clothes. And suddenly everywhere people are going, oh my God, he has no clothes. That's the background to the perception and the understanding that will finally end this, that will end this presidency. It sounds as though he is saying this book will end the presidency of Donald Trump. Do you believe this book has the power to do so?
No, I don't believe any. Well, no, look, our system of government is set up such that it is very difficult to change the president, and that's what our founders wanted. I don't believe one book. I don't believe one piece of evidence, really, with the exception of the smoking gun transcript of that came out in 1974, that one piece of evidence can overturn administration. What this book does is it adds more pieces to the puzzle. And remember, it's just a book, and it's a book based on sources of various power and credibility. But it doesn't. What makes it so powerful, I believe, is that it's confirming pieces of evidence that actually have come from the president's own tweets. The ranting, the thin-skinnedness, the obsession with Comey, the unwillingness to deal with the truth of the hacking issue, let alone the question of collusion. All of that we've seen before. What Wolf has done, it seems, from the excerpts, I haven't read the book yet, has pulled this together into a very damning portrait. But it's just a book. We have more evidence to see. We have Mueller's investigation that's going to produce real evidence, in addition to things that have been, sourced by a journalist, however strong or good a journalist Wolf might be. So I see this as more very important pieces to the puzzle, but they're just pieces. We have a lot more to learn.
And we should point out there are a lot of pieces to this puzzle in the book that people have come out and disputed and said just are not true.
Yeah, deserve questions and
including some
criticism.
Washington Post journalists and whatnot.
Yeah.
So just to be fair there. Timothy Naftali, we appreciate you being here so much. Thank you.